Hello, good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Total Football Talk. So we're going to look at all the latest news coming out of Manchester United, and as always, there is plenty. We'll look at the headlines, starting with Justin Kluivert being talked about coming to Manchester United. I'd love to know what you guys think about that. Are you Justin Kluivert fans? Do you think he could potentially be a good move for United? I'll give my thoughts on that in a second. There was news yesterday that Manchester United were interested in Trincão from Sporting Lisbon, and yet we'll talk about him and see what your guys think about that. We'll also look at Jadon Sancho has apparently put a transfer request in to go to he wants he wants to move back to Germany from what we're hearing, which is very interesting considering he is obligated to stay with Chelsea. So we'll have a look at what's being said about that. We will also look at that Manchester United are looking at obviously so they were scouting Tyler Dibling. Tyler Dibling has been linked with Manchester United quite heavily for quite a long period of time. We will look at what's being said about that. We will also look about the slight issue with the Manchester United new stadium, and how there's an issue with the freight trains that run through Manchester United, and we'll look at what the impact that will have on a potential ground build. A little bit on Sir Alex Ferguson, something a bit of a bit of warm news. Sir Alex obviously went through a very traumatic period in his life, and the hospital in Salford, who absolutely saved his life, it was something that he did, which is quite heartwarming for them. Okay, but look, we'll start with the Justin Kluivert news. But before I go in, thanks very much, guys, for joining me this morning. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much for all the subscriptions. Absolutely amazing. And for all the views as well. If you could tap the like button, that would help me out massively. If you could subscribe, bottom right hand corner of the screen, that would be absolutely class. Really, really appreciate it. And please get your comments in. But look, we'll look at the Justin Kluivert story. And Justin Kluivert is open to a move to Old Trafford. Manchester United would be interested in buying him at the right price, but Bournemouth are looking for around kind of £55 million. Is Justin Kluivert worth £50? Do you think do you think that's what he's worth? I'm not sure if he's quite in that category. Mind you, he is having a very, very good season this year. He has scored a lot of goals, and I think he could be dynamite in the number 10 role. But we probably do need a number 10, but he's another youngster. And even though he's got Premier League experience, and he has obviously played in Italy, and he also has played in the Dutch league, he has quite a bit of experience in that respect. He is quite young. He is very, very talented, and he is getting better season on season. So it would be a very interesting move for United, as I said, playing in that 10. Maybe in later years, like his father, he could end up playing up front in the main striker position. He has a lot. He's quick. He's tenacious. He scores a lot of really all different types of goals. As I said, he could play either side in that number, either those kind of forward 10 positions. And I think he's a very interesting profile of player. But I just don't know whether we could get a deal for 55 million to bring him out of Bournemouth. I think we would want to try and reduce the price on that a little bit if we could. But if we did go for him, as Call side here are talking about, I'd be very, very interested in him because, as I said, he's very, very good. His father was an unbelievable striker. And, if he was to kind of follow in half his father's footsteps, he will be some player as he continues to get older and improve. So I think he's one to look at, one to keep an eye on. Very, very interesting. Okay, I was going to speak about the Trincão one, but unfortunately I don't have the slide for it. But yeah, Trincão has obviously been linked to Manchester United. He is an attacking midfielder. He's slightly slightly older age. I know he had a fantastic game against Denmark in the UEFA Nations League just there a couple of days ago. Very, very, very good player. Was obviously worked on under Ruben Amorim before, and I believe that Ruben Amorim, if he did take him, he's quite versatile as well. So I think he could play along the front line for Manchester United, and he would bring some experience to the team because, as I said, we're looking at a lot of young players. Kluivert, we're also looking at Tyler Dibling, another young player. We keep talking about this, but we can't just have an influx of young players. Even if Kluivert did come in, he's still quite developmental, and even though he's got Premier League experience, he's still quite young. So I think that Manchester United would need to be careful about this. They do need experience, and Trincão, if they could bring him in, could be an interesting one again, because I said he's got Champions League experience. He's won titles with Sporting. He has got a lot. He is a good age gap. He's doing very well, and for Portugal, it comes with a lot of clout, and I think we just need to bring in someone who is a little bit more established. We need to bring in at least one or two. We can't just bring in a bunch of kids, because we will struggle. We will really, really struggle. So he could be a very he could be a very good shout for Manchester United. So we'll just have to keep an eye and see whether there's any further information on Trincão. Maybe it's just all paper talk. Maybe Trincão's up for contract renewal, and he just wants to throw Manchester United their name in the mix, just to help him, bring in a new contract for in his kind of position at the minute. But yeah, that's what the news we are with Trincão. And this was the other story, which is oh no, sorry, this is the Trincão one. I apologise. So it was Manchester United are prime to test Sporting's resolve to keep or for a 30 million £30 million deal for Trincão. So that's so 30 million for a guy who's kind of in his mid to late 20s. He's just coming into his prime. I think if we were to spend that kind of money, because he is kind of versatile and can play across the front line, I think he would be a great asset for Manchester United. Someone with experience that could come in, and obviously knows Amarin's system inside out, which would hopefully make that transition much, much easier. Okay, and then the next story, which was good old Jadon Sancho, has submitted a transfer request to his management to move to Borussia Dortmund again. This is coming from Sport Bild. Now, Jadon Sancho is, there was talk about, and I talked about it myself, potentially coming back to Manchester United for 5 million. Since then, news has developed that it does look like Chelsea are actually going to keep him. Chelsea, I believe, are, it is, as someone said, it's £5 million to get back to us, and Chelsea get nothing in return. Where if Chelsea keep him for 25 million, it means they actually get a player. And maybe he is still quite young. Maybe he could, transform his career over a couple of years. Maybe Chelsea could sell him on, make some money, or maybe he could turn his fortunes around and be part of a very successful Chelsea. Now, Chelsea are a model that have spent a lot of money. They brought in a lot of young players. They're still bringing in young players like Quenda, etc. And it is a bit of a gamble. But if Sancho stays, maybe he could turn his career around there, and maybe he could go on and do well. But I just think if he is putting in a transfer request to go back to Dortmund's is kind of home from home. He's quite obviously comfortable at Dortmund. I don't think Dortmund would take him back. I think they probably got the best from him, especially over two spells. I don't think he'd go back there. I'd be surprised if they took him back for a third spell. That's not normally how it works with players. If they get two spells, they're doing very well. Three spells, doesn't happen very often. So I think Jadon Sancho will end up staying at Chelsea. That was the news that was kind of floating around yesterday. Chelsea will buy him, unless he is absolutely dreadful between now and the end of the season. Then maybe they will just take the hit and give him back to us for 5 million, and then we have to deal with him in the summer. But I don't know about that. We'll just have to wait and see. But it is, old Jadon, old freedom fighter, just wants to be free again. So he wants to be free from Manchester United. He said it was our fault. Now he wants to be free from Chelsea. He wants to go back to the freedom of playing in the German league, where obviously as a player he had a lot of more freedom and was able to produce better performances, etc. So let's see where this one goes. I have a feeling that Chelsea will buy him. He will stay at Chelsea for the 25 million. And we will hopefully he'll be one of those players that we'll bring in a little bit of money from, not much, that will go on other players, maybe someone like Trincão from Sporting. But yeah, so that's that. Now the Tyler Dibling story was Manchester United were in attendance to watch Tyler Dibling for England under-19s v Wales last week. United are one of 14 Premier clubs to have inquired about him. Now, I think this is the issue Manchester United have. We are one of 14. I believe he's probably got better options for other clubs. Like, it doesn't, 14 Premier League clubs went to see him. That's basically the entire Premier League are all keeping an eye on him. Southampton have him. Southampton are going to get relegated. He will move. Where will he go? City, I'd say City and Liverpool might be better options for him. Not that I would like to see him go there. I would, if Manchester United were interested and he was what Ruben Amorim thought was a brilliant player going forward, I'd love to see us get him. But if Liverpool are in and City are in, I think he'll probably go to one of those two clubs before he will come to Manchester United. So can United be brave enough, and if they want him, can they find a way to get a deal done that's clever? I don't know. I really don't know. I just say because there's so many other clubs in there. I think Manchester United are going to struggle. They might not be able to compete with the wages. Might not be able to compete with the fee that Southampton want for him. And because there's so many clubs interested, they'll be able to get a good fee despite getting relegated this year. So that's where we are with the Tyler Dibling story. Yeah. What do you think? Are you guys interested in bringing Tyler Dibling to Manchester United? Do you think he would be a great... Would he move the club forward? Would Justin Kluivert move the club forward? Or are these kids just too young to help us move forward right now, but ones for the future? I would love to know what you guys think of this. And now there was a little bit on the stadium, and this is coming from the Mail Sport. So work on the stadium may not begin until the start of 2026 season. United will need to acquire the land behind Stretford End, owned by Freightliner, with the option of swapping some of the club's land at the back of Old Trafford car park, which is being considered. Now behind Old Trafford there is a car park, and Manchester United own that land, and they could potentially build on that, as opposed to building where they would like to build the stadium at the minute, because Freightliner, obviously they're apparently not moving until 2029. So I don't know what type of deal can be struck. If they can move earlier, I'm not sure. Can Manchester United build on the land behind where the car park is? Yes, it's probably a better way to do it in terms of being efficient and moving the project along quickly, because that's probably what they're going to have to do, I'd say. Otherwise they're going to have to wait another 4 years. It'll take another 5 years to build. Looking, 2035, 2036, if you're lucky to have the stadium that Manchester United want. So really, all the so we had the protests on the Sunday for the Arsenal game. On the Monday, then we had the old spin of the new stadium because they needed to get something out. And now, Jim Radcliffe's interviews on the Monday, Gary Neville's and the stadium released on the Tuesday, and now all of a sudden it's just PR spin to get the United fans back on board, saying, "Oh, we're going to give you this new shiny toy, as in a new stadium." All bollocks, really, unfortunately, because there is no start date to this. 2026, maybe. Start of 2026 season, maybe 5 years after. I just think it's complicated, and I don't think they've looked into it enough, or if they have and they know the issues that are coming, but they haven't been able to resolve them, and that's probably what it actually is. So God knows when the stadium's going to be built. It'll be somewhere in the future, that Manchester United fans can hold on to that little bit of hope that, yeah, we may have a good stadium in the future, but who knows when? We really don't know, at the minute. And that's where we are with the stadium. So, and then just the final little story was on Sir Alex Ferguson, which I thought was quite nice. And this is just showing his gratitude to the NHS for saving when they did the brain surgery and they saved his life. And he kind of hosted a fundraiser that raised £405,000, and all the money was left for the NHS in Salford. What a legend Sir Alex is. It was a really nice thing to do. Massively helps the NHS out, considering, and that hospital, considering the problems that they are always having with funding. But yeah, just thought I was wrap it up with a little bit of nice stuff there from Sir Alex doing a really nice thing for the old NHS and saving his life. Okay, guys, that's all the news. Thank you very much. If you've stayed to the end, you're absolute legend. Really appreciate it. If you'd like to hit the old subscribe button, that would be fantastic. Hit the like on the way out. Drop a comment in there. Talk to me. And yeah, I will see you tomorrow.